My daughter's husband told me he married her just to be close to me, so I got close enough to destroy him. My daughter Kenzie met her husband Lyle when she was 24. She brought him home for dinner on a Friday and I made pot roast because she said he liked comfort food. He walked in, shook my hand, and asked about the house, the garden, what I did for work. He asked me more questions than he asked Kenzie that whole first dinner. I thought he was just trying to impress the mom. Kenzie was so happy. They dated for 2 years. During that time, Lyle came to every family dinner I hosted, every holiday, every birthday. He always sat near me. He always offered to help me with cleanup. He always stayed late to dry dishes. Kenzie would be on the couch watching something, and Lyle would be at the sink next to me drying dishes and asking about my week. I thought he was the best son-in-law I could ever ask for. They got married when Kenzie was 26. At the reception, Lyle asked me to dance. He held me a little close and I pulled back and he adjusted and I did not think about it again. After the wedding, they moved into a house 10 minutes from me. Lyle started coming by my house on his own. At first it was to fix things. The porch light, the faucet, the gate. I appreciated it. I have been a single mom since Kenzie was 9 and I was not used to someone helping without being asked, but the visits got more frequent. He started coming on Saturday mornings before Kenzie was even awake and bringing me coffee. He would text me during the day to check in. Not Kenzie, me. He remembered small things I said weeks earlier and brought them up again. I mentioned once that I liked a certain hand lotion, and the next time he came over he had a bottle of it. I mentioned my back hurt from gardening and he offered to rub my shoulders and I said no thank you and changed the subject. That was the first time something felt wrong. About a year into the marriage, Kenzie started telling me things. She said Lyle was distant at home. He did not talk to her the way he used to. He gave one-word answers and stayed in the garage. But every single time he came to my house, he was talkative and engaged and present. He told his coworkers about my cooking. He brought up things I said to people who had never met me. Kenzie laughed about it, but I could tell something under that laugh was not humor. It was confusion. Then one Sunday, I was at their house for lunch. Kenzie was in the bedroom on a phone call, and Lyle and I were at the counter. I was cutting tomatoes. He looked at me and said, "You know you are the reason I am here." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You are the reason I come to every dinner. You are the reason I married into this family." I put the knife down. He said he had been in love with me since the first night he walked into my house. He said Kenzie is a good person, but she is not who he thinks about. He said every time he came to fix something at my house, it was because he wanted to be near me. He said the Saturday morning coffee was not him being a good son-in-law. It was him finding excuses to see me. He said he married my daughter to be close to me. He stood in my daughter's home and told me he married her so he could be part of my life. I told him to stop talking. He said he needed me to know the truth. I said, "You married my daughter. She is your wife. She loves you." He said he cares about Kenzie but has never felt for her what he feels for me. I told him what he was saying was wrong and he needed to leave the room right now. He said he was not trying to cause problems. He was just being honest. Honest. He married a woman under false pretenses and used her as a door to her mother, and then stood in that woman's own home and called it being honest. Kenzie came out of the bedroom and asked what we were talking about. Lyle smiled at her and said nothing. Just lunch stuff. He looked at her and lied to her face 3 seconds after telling me he never loved her. I left their house early. Told Kenzie I had a headache. Every dinner he came to was not for her. Every holiday was not for her. Every dish he dried next to me at my sink was not because he was a good man. It was because he wanted to stand next to me. The next week, I sat Kenzie down at my dining table and told her everything Lyle said. Every word, the lotion, the coffee, the shoulder rub offer, what he said in her home. She sat across from me and did not say anything for a long time. Then she asked me if I ever encouraged it. That question hurt more than anything Lyle ever said to me. My own daughter sitting across from me asking if I played a part in this. I looked at her and I said no. I said it clear. I said, "Kenzie, no. I never encouraged it. I never wanted it." The first time something felt off was when he offered to rub my shoulders. I said no and changed the subject. I should have told you then. That is on me. But I did not invite this. Kenzie stared at the table. Her fingers were pressed flat against the wood like she was holding herself in place. Then she nodded slowly and said, "I believe you, Mom." Something released in my chest. Kenzie started crying. Not loud, not dramatic, just tears rolling down her face while she sat there looking small in that chair. I got up and went around the table and put my arms around her, and she grabbed onto me like she used to when she was little and scared of thunderstorms. When she finally let go, she wiped her face with the back of her hand and said, "I need time to think about what to do." I said okay. I told her to take whatever time she needed. She left that night and I told myself I had done the right thing. I was wrong. 2 days went by. I texted Kenzie the first day just to say I loved her. She texted back a heart emoji. That was it. I texted again the next day and asked how she was doing. She said fine, just processing. Short, careful, like she was measuring every word. On the 3rd day I called her. She did not answer. On the 4th day my phone buzzed and it was a text from Kenzie that said Lyle and I talked. He told me his side. I read that message 6 times. His side. Like there were 2 equal versions of what happened that Sunday. I called Kenzie and she did not pick up, so I drove to her house. She opened the door, came out onto the porch, and closed it behind her. She said Lyle says you misunderstood what he said. He says he was telling you how much he appreciates you as a mother figure, and you took it the wrong way. I felt my whole body go tight. I said, "Kenzie, he told me he married you to be close to me." Those were his exact words. She folded her arms across her chest and looked past me at the yard. She said he said you have been lonely since the divorce, and maybe you heard what you wanted to hear. In 4 days, Lyle had taken everything I told my daughter and turned it inside out. He took the truth and made it sound like a sad, lonely woman making things up. He did not just deny it. He made me the problem. And Kenzie was not even mad at me. She was looking at me with this soft, pitying expression, like I was someone to feel sorry for. That was worse than anger. I said, "You have known me your whole life. When have I ever lied to you?" Kenzie looked at the porch floor. She said, "I am not saying you lied, Mom. I am saying maybe you are confused." She said it gently, like I was fragile. Then she went back inside and I heard the lock click. I drove home. I did not turn the radio on. I sat down at my dining table in the same chair Kenzie had been sitting in days ago when I told her the truth. The chair was still pulled out a little from where she left it. I thought about how I told Kenzie to take her time, and I realized I had given Lyle 4 days alone with my daughter. 4 days to sit across from her at their table and look at her with those careful, concerned eyes and make himself the good guy and me, the confused confused one. He did not have to call me a liar. He just had to make Kenzie feel sorry for me, and it worked. I made a decision. I was done being passive. I needed proof, something solid, something Kenzie could not explain away as me being lonely or confused. I picked up my phone and called Eliza. She is my best friend and has been for over 15 years. I told her everything. The confession in Kenzie's home, the talk at my table, Kenzie on the porch, Lyle flipping the whole story. When I was done, Eliza was quiet for a second, and then she said, "You need a witness. Someone who is not you. Someone Kenzie cannot dismiss as confused or lonely." Eliza said she would come over and sit in the back bedroom. She said if I could get Lyle to talk again, she would hear every word with her own ears and write it all down. She said Kenzie has known her since she was 2 years old. Kenzie cannot dismiss that. I said, how do I get him to talk again? Eliza said you do not have to trick him. You just have to stop rejecting him. He has been chasing you for years. If you crack the door open even a little, he will walk right through it. The idea made my skin crawl, but I thought about Kenzie on that porch looking at me with pity, and I thought about Lyle inside that house behind that closed door, winning. I picked up my phone and I texted Lyle directly. I had never done that before. Not once in all the years he had been married to my daughter had I been the one to reach out first. I typed, "Can you come by this weekend? I have been thinking about what you told me." He responded in 4 minutes. "I will be there Saturday morning." No questions, no hesitation, like he had been waiting for that text his whole life. Saturday came and Eliza was at my house by 7:30. She set up in the back bedroom with a yellow legal pad, door cracked open an inch. Then we waited. Lyle showed up right on time. He walked in carrying 2 cups of coffee like he always did on those Saturday mornings. He handed me one and sat down at my dining table. He looked happy, like this was exactly where he wanted to be and he had finally been invited. I sat down across from him and wrapped my hands around the coffee cup to keep them steady. I said what you told Kenzie about me misunderstanding you. Was that true? He did not flinch. He leaned back in the chair and said I told her what she needed to hear. You and I both know what I said that Sunday. There it was. He admitted it without even blinking. I said I need you to say it again, clearly. So I know I did not misunderstand. He looked at me and said I married Kenzie because I wanted to be in your life. I wanted to be close to you. That has not changed. Then he reached across the table and put his hand on mine. His palm was warm from the coffee cup. I did not pull away right away. I let it sit there for 2 seconds. Then I moved my hand and picked up my coffee. That small moment was like opening a gate. He started talking more freely than he ever had before. He told me he thought about me every day. He said Kenzie was a good person, but she did not understand him the way I did. He said you and I have something. You feel it too. I know you do. I did not say anything. I just looked at him and let the silence do the work, and he filled it. He said he had thought about leaving Kenzie, but he did not want to lose access to me. He said those words. Access. Like I was something behind a locked door, and my daughter was the key he used to get in. He said the marriage was always a means to an end. He said he cared about Kenzie the way you care about anyone you spend time with, but it was never real. Not the way it was with me. He talked for almost 40 minutes. I sat there and listened and did not react and did not encourage and did not stop him. When he finally left, he touched my shoulder on the way out the door and said he would see me soon. I closed the door behind him and locked it. Eliza came out of the back bedroom holding the legal pad against her chest. Both sides of the top page were full, timestamps in the margin, quotes underlined. She had every dehumanizing word he said about my daughter. She looked at me and her hands were not entirely steady, and she said that man is dangerous. Not in a loud way, in a quiet way. That is worse. I sat down at the dining table and put my face in my hands for a minute. Then I picked my head up because we were not done. The morning after his visit, my phone buzzed with a text from Lyle, then another one an hour later, then another after lunch. They were not the kind of texts a son-in-law sends his mother-in-law. He told me I looked really good on Saturday. He said he liked the way I wore my hair down. He sent one that said I cannot stop thinking about our morning together. I read that one and had to set my phone down because my hands were shaking again, but this time it was not nerves. It was anger. I did not respond to a single one, but I screenshotted every text, every flirty comment, every line that no married man should be sending to his wife's mother. I printed them out, 9 pages. I put them in a folder. Then my phone rang and it was Kenzie. And the second I heard her voice, I knew something was wrong. She said, "Mom, are you and Lyle texting?" I could feel the blood leave my face. She said he showed me the text you sent asking him to come over. Why would you do that? He flipped it again. He took the one text I sent and showed it to Kenzie like I was the one chasing him. He did not show her the 4-minute reply. He did not show her the texts he had been sending me all day. He showed her one message from me and let her fill in the rest. I started to explain. I said, "Kenzie, that is not what happened. I need you to listen to me." She cut me off. Her voice cracked and she said, "First you tell me my husband confessed his love for you. Then you invite him to your house alone. What am I supposed to think?" And I could hear it in the background. Lyle's voice. Quiet but close. He said, "Babe, I told you. I did not want to upset you." He was right there, coaching her. I said, "Kenzie, can you come to my house alone? Just you and me. I have something you need to see." She said, "I need a break from all of this, Mom. From you, from him, from all of it." And she hung up. I could not go to Kenzie directly. She had just told me she needed space, and if I showed up at her door again, she would see it as proof that I was the one who could not stop. I needed a third option. Someone Kenzie trusted. Someone outside of this mess. I called Franz. Franz is an old family friend who has known us since Kenzie was a little girl. He taught her how to ride a bike. He walked her into her first day of middle school when I had to work a double shift. Kenzie has always trusted Franz in a way that is separate from me. I told him everything from the beginning. Eliza in the back bedroom, the yellow legal pad, Lyle's texts. I read him 3 of them over the phone. When I was done, Franz did not say anything for a long time. Then he said that boy is dangerous in a quiet way. That is worse. He said he would call Kenzie and invite her to dinner. Neutral ground. No Lyle. I said I needed to be there. Eliza too. Franz said, "Let me get her there first. If she knows you are coming, she might not show." He was right. Franz called Kenzie that same evening. He told her he had not seen her in months and missed her. He asked her to come over for dinner later that week. Kenzie said yes. She told Lyle she was going to Franz's place, and Lyle immediately said he would come along. Of course he did. But Franz called Kenzie back the next day and said, "Just you, kid. I want to catch up one-on-one." fine. Bring me some of that bread you used to make. And Kenzie agreed. The night of the dinner, I got to Franz's house early. Eliza was already there with her yellow legal pad. I had the folder of printed screenshots. We sat at the dining table and waited. My leg was bouncing the whole time. Then the front door opened and Kenzie walked into the dining room and saw me and Eliza sitting there. Her face changed in a second. Everything open and relaxed about her just closed right up like a door slamming shut. Her eyes went hard. She looked at Franz and then back at me and she said, "You set me up." Franz stepped between us before I could say a word. He put his hand up, not in a rough way, just steady, and he looked Kenzie right in the face and said, "Nobody set you up. Sit down. You are going to look at something, and you are going to hear something. After that, you can leave if you want, but you are going to look first." Kenzie sat down, but her arms were crossed tight against her chest, and her jaw was clenched so hard I could see the muscles in her face working. She would not look at me. I slid the folder across the table. I said, "These are texts your husband sent me. Every one of them is from his phone. The timestamps are at the top of each page. Read them." She did not move for a long second. Then she opened the folder. The first screenshot was the one that said, "I cannot stop thinking about our morning together." Sent at 11:17 on a Sunday morning. From Lyle. To me. Her hands started to shake. She turned the page. The next one was Lyle telling me he liked the way I wore my hair down. The next one was him asking when he could come back. The next one was him telling me I looked beautiful on Saturday. There were 9 pages. Kenzie read every one. Twice. When she got to the end of the folder, she did not look up. Her hands stayed flat on the screenshots like she was trying to keep them from floating away. Then Eliza spoke. She said, "Kenzie, I was at your mother's house on Saturday morning. I was in the back bedroom with the door open. I heard Lyle through the wall. He sat at the dining table for 40 minutes and told her he married you to be in her life. He told her the marriage was a means to an end. He told her he did not want to lose access to her. He used that word, access. I wrote it all down in real time. I have my notes here if you want them. You have known me since you were 2 years old. I rocked you to sleep at your 5th birthday party. I am telling you what I heard with my own ears." Kenzie did not move. She did not blink. She looked at the folder of texts, and then she looked at Eliza, and then she finally, slowly, looked at me. Her eyes were red and glassy, but she was holding the tears back with everything she had. She said, "He told me you were lonely. He told me you were reading into things. He told me you had a crush on him, and he felt bad for you." She swallowed hard. "I believed him over you. My own mother." I reached across the table and took her hand. I held it tight, and I said, "He is very good at what he does. That is not your fault." Kenzie squeezed my fingers, and then she asked what she was supposed to do now. Franz spoke up before I could. His voice was calm and steady. He said, "You go home. You do not tell him you saw any of this. You call the lawyer Monday morning, and you get your things in order before he knows what is coming. You do this smart, not fast." Kenzie nodded. Then she looked at me, and her chin started to shake, and she said, "I am sorry I asked if you encouraged it. I am sorry I stood on that porch and treated you like you were the problem." I squeezed her hand, and I said, "You are my daughter. There is nothing to forgive." Kenzie went home that night, and she acted normal. She did not confront Lyle. She did not flinch when he kissed her on the forehead. Monday morning, she called the lawyer Franz recommended and started the process quietly. I did not hear from Lyle for a few days. Then on Wednesday, he showed up at my house unannounced. He walked in with coffee and that same easy smile like nothing was wrong. He sat at my dining table and he said, "I have been thinking about us." I looked at him, and for the first time since this whole thing started, I did not feel afraid. I did not feel guilty. I felt clear. I said, "There is no us, Lyle. There never was." His smile faded. I said, "Kenzie has every text you sent me, 9 pages of them, printed and dated." Eliza was in the back bedroom Saturday morning. She heard every word you said at this table. She wrote it down in real time with timestamps. Kenzie has that too. You should go home and talk to your wife while she is still willing to talk. Lyle stood up slowly. His face went completely flat, like someone pulled a plug behind his eyes, and everything warm and charming just drained right out. He said, "You set me up." I said, "No. You wrote those texts yourself." He said, "You will regret this." I looked him right back and I said, "No, I really will not." He walked out of my house and he did not close the door behind him. I got up and closed it myself, then I locked it. Kenzie filed for divorce 3 weeks later. Lyle tried to call me twice and I let it go to voicemail both times. He showed up at my house